So now it's time to introduce our great presenter, and we really thank you, Caleb, for accepting this invitation. We all know that you are a very busy person, very busy teacher, and it's a pleasure, it's an honor to introduce Caleb. Caleb is a Spanish teacher in Dr. William Menis Elementary School in New Jersey, and he was the 2018 IFLTA National World Language Teacher of the Year finalist. He was Teacher of the Year for the New Jersey Foreign Language Educators in New Jersey, and also the Teacher of the Year for NECFO. So it's so great. It's honor to have you here, Kaylee. Welcome to our series.
Well, thank you so much, Israel. And hello, everybody. Welcome. Like we said, my name is Caleb Howard, and our job today is to focus on strategies for using the target language and leveraging technology. This QR code, if you scan it, you'll be able to have notes and links to resources that I'll be sharing today. And I'll have that QR code up at the end of the session as well if you're missing it right now. I'd like to thank some wonderful people for making today's webinar possible. Thank you to the Indiana Foreign Language Teachers Association. Thank you to the Indiana Language Roadmap, and thank you to the Hamilton Lugar. Links to all of their information and wealth of resources can be found on that session note that I mentioned before. And I'd also like to thank my new friends, Israel and Shanmei. And I didn't get a picture of Teresa, sorry, Teresa, but all of the other leaders at the Indiana Foreign Language Teachers Association for helping me get connected with you and helping me with Tech for Today. Last but not least, I'd like to thank all of you that are attending this webinar. You are amazing. And the things you are doing for your students are amazing, especially considering our nation's social landscape and what we're going through as a nation. The social fabric of our nation is broken. We are called the United States of America, but who wouldn't agree that united is not the first thing that comes to our mind when we watch the evening news? So sad. We need healing. We need social healing, and language teachers like you and me have healing balm in our grasp. We can give students training in interculturality. A huge part of our work is to massage into the souls of our students intercultural competence. Yes, it's tough for students to learn global citizenship when language classes just vocabulary memorization and verb conjugation drills. But when students explore the beauty of the target language culture and explore it while using the language, which is the focus of today's webinar, we can give our students keys to unlocking the treasure of diversity. With this in mind, I'm dedicating the following inspirational video clip to you. Check it out, and let's see if I can switch over to the video. It's not just a little thing, not just a collection of words. It's way more far-reaching than lists of nouns and verbs. It is not menial, not unexceptional. It's international, spotlight sensational. Language is so much more. It's a key that opens the door to meaning, understanding, opens eyes, connection, recognition, friendship, unity, appreciation, love, diversity, peace, compassion, movement, collaboration, progress, respect, and honor. That's what language does. Where there is no language learning, there is no understanding. We do more than conjugations. We send ambassadors to the nations. We do more than vocabulary. We open eyes to see that there is deep beauty in our diversity. We teach the younger ones. We mold the future ones. Inspire the leading ones to think less of self to help someone else. We show that this world is a better place when we take our eyes off of self and take time to look at our brother and talk to our sister, understand the life of another, understand the ways of another. Maybe you should call us more than language teachers because we are bringing this world together. We're joining diverse hands, connecting foreign lands. That's what language does. When we teach a language, we are the bridge builders, helping the peoples to cross over, to understand and appreciate each other. So say goodbye to division, adios to misunderstanding, arrivederci to isolation, saitien to selfishness, baka to ethnocentrism, au revoir to the world is me, and hello to the world is us. That's what language does. Yay! That's dedicated to you. We do so many beautiful things. And I'm gonna see if I can get back to the presentation. That'd be a beautiful thing. All right. So let's do it. Let's do everything we can to contribute towards the repair of our nation's broken social fabric through giving our students keys to seeing that diversity doesn't have to divide. Let's give our students keys to unlock diversity's treasure. And let's do it by helping them explore the beauty of a foreign culture and exploring that beauty by using and hearing and negotiating meaning in the target language. And just a quick note, that video that we just watched together, please post it. Some people ask me, am I allowed to share it? Yes, share it. Teach with it. Have students write reflections on it. Share it on back to school night or in your welcome letters to parents and students. It's an easy, inspirational way to spread the message about the beauty and significance of what you, as a foreign language teacher, do every day. So as we keep moving on, a little bit about me and my feelings in these past months of the pandemic. Yes, I am an award-winning teacher, and yes, I have a blog, but I'd like to share that I'm also struggling and scared. This pandemic has really thrown me for a loop, both professionally and personally. I feel disoriented. I wasn't sure what to do when the pandemic started, and I'm not sure what to do right now, and I have no idea what's going to happen back to school in September. For us in New Jersey, we started in September. I feel a lot of pressure. And as I look around, I feel like this doesn't happen, but in my mind it happens. I hear kind of little whispers that say, look at all the other things that other teachers are doing. Everyone is using so much technology that I've never even heard of. Everyone is doing so much for their students and I do so little. Everyone else's students are learning so much. I must not be doing a very good job. But do you know what's been helping me? It's helped in the middle of my nervousness to slow down and to remember the beauty and importance of my students. Remembering their faces, thinking about their names, their quirky lovable personalities. By nature, the focus of my job and yours, whether I'm on COVID-19 lockdown or not, should be altruistic. The focus of my job should be, number one, to help beautiful students. And number two, to help my beautiful students make meaningful and fulfilling connections with beautiful people who speak a different language. With this in mind, I'm trying to emerge from my fears, courageously stare at my lesson plans for September, and daily declare these refocusing reminders of my purpose for teaching. Caleb, rest. Don't preoccupy yourself with yourself by always evaluating how bad or how good you are performing as a distance learning teacher during COVID-19. Remember the beauty of your students. Don't forget the students. Take every opportunity to remind them of their value. Remember to keep it simple. The pandemic has turned our lives upside down. Care for the students by minimizing complexity. Whenever possible, avoid overwhelming students by picking one system and stick with it. When you learn a new tech trick, don't feel like you have to pass it on immediately to your students. Design lessons and systems that are predictable so that the students can relax, knowing that they can anticipate what's coming next in your class. Establish procedures and repeat them consistently. Besides minimizing unnecessary complexity whenever possible, keep in mind this following quote. This is from the Massachusetts Commissioner of Elementary and Secondary Education, Jeff Riley. He says, "We know that student engagement has been compromised by lack of face-to-face interactions." How many of you could share anecdotes about that? With this in mind, what can we do to increase student engagement? How can we minimize distractions for our students? How can we draw them in? How can we keep them engaged? And I'd like to suggest that it's important to maximize engagement by turning up the volume on beauty. Turn up the volume on love. Do everything you can to highlight diversity's richness. My students won't be very motivated or engaged or wanting to pay attention to verb conjugations and vocabulary memorization, as important as that is. But do you know what my students will enjoy? They will enjoy people. They will enjoy exploration. They will enjoy fascinating things. And as language educators, we can do that very well by centering the content of our courses around diversity's richness and authentic resources. Here's an example of what I mean. I'm going to show you a short clip, maybe 45 seconds, of a girl in Mexico named Gibi. This will be in Spanish. It will be on a program called Edpuzzle, and I'll mention that later. But for now, I want you to focus on how cute this is and how the cuteness and the fascination and the exploration of people from other countries can draw your students in and maximize engagement.
¿Cómo están? Espero que la estén pasando genialísimo. En el video de hoy quiero hablar algo relacionado con las madres, ya que aquí en México hace unos días se celebró el Día de la Madre. Así que les mando muchos
So it's just a little clip. And yes, I teach elementary students, kindergarten through 5th grade. And if I show them that, my novice learners are not going to understand what she's saying. But sometimes their eyes are wide open, glued on the screen, because it's a person. It's someone that speaks different than my students, but looks the same, has a bed, has stuffed animals, and maximizing student engagement through opening a door to the fascination of the target culture. Now later, you can see on the screen, there's a multiple choice question that comes up. And there are tools that we can use as educators to eliminate extra, distracting, too hard, scaffolding it so it's appropriate to their level, and helping them focus on the vocabulary and the structures that are part of our curriculum. I'll talk about that later, but for now, the idea is understanding how we can maximize student engagement by showing the beauty of the target culture. Now that was a clip from Mexico, but a lot of you teach other languages. So I have right here and in our notes, examples in French, examples in Chinese, and examples in Spanish. And in a little bit, I'm gonna have you get on your computer and we're gonna like share and collaborate together. Where online can we find online authentic resources that really give the students instant access to the beauty of diversity? Now let me just click here on French to show you what I mean. For French, I am taking you to playlists that have been curated by the American Association of Teachers of French. If you click on that link, and it's in our session notes from today, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of videos already collected by category that you can use and drop into your favorite programs like Google Classroom or Edpuzzle or Seesaw or any of the other things that you do. You can watch this video and get on a Google Meet with your students and talk about it, or have them talk about it. This is French. Let me go ahead to show you in Chinese. I asked for some recommendations on Twitter. By the way, if you ever feel alone or you don't want to reinvent the wheel by making your own resources, Twitter or Facebook is a great place to go to find language teachers and say, hey, I need this. And there are a lot of people willing to share. One colleague of mine shared, let's see, Chinese. Here's a collection of videos that all have subtitles underneath them. They are collected in playlists. And if you go to videos, you can see this YouTuber's most recent things and pick the ones that have to go with some of the curriculum that you have to cover. In Spanish, I'm gonna show you, if you click on Spanish, there's dozens and dozens of playlists here organized by country, like Spain, Argentina, Paraguay, Ecuador, also categorized by topic, like in the kitchen, or preparing tortillas, or poverty, or open air markets, or birthdays, or simple conversations, or hand games for kids. I mean, there's so much out there that we can use to provide a window that engages our students by showing them the beauty of the target culture and all in the target language. So you know more than I do, what online resources do you like using with your students? I just showed a little bit, but maybe there are some German teachers out there. Maybe there are some Italian teachers out there, more in Chinese that you would like to share. So I'd like you now to help me. We'll take like 5 minutes or maybe 7 minutes, and on your phone or on your computer or on your laptop, you can do a few things. You can scan this QR code and it's gonna take you to a Padlet, or you can go to tinyurl.com/online-authentic-resources. I'm gonna pop this back up in a little bit, but let me share where we're going. It's going to take you to a map. And I made this afternoon. You can do this whenever you would like yourself, but let me zoom out a little bit so we can see our map a little bit better. Now on this map, can you see some little map locations? I put those on there. For example, if you go to China, click on it, and you can access all of those videos that I just mentioned. Or if you want to go to Spain, you click on it, and I put in a playlist there. All you have to do when you get onto this Padlet is click this pink circle up on the top right, and you can search a place by name. So let's say you have an online resource from Puerto Rico. So you just type in Puerto Rico, and maybe you have a link to a YouTube video, or maybe a presentation that you yourself made that you're willing to share. Go ahead and click. You can click on a country, you can click on an exact city, anywhere on the map, click it, and then you can upload a file. You can share a link, share a picture, and drop it right in there. So can I go ahead and ask you to try that? Here is our QR code that you can use to access this Padlet, or go to tinyurl.com/online-authentic-resources, and let's see how we can share the treasure box of resources that you use with your students, with your level, whether you teach elementary, high school, or college, whatever language. Go ahead and type in a name on the map, a name of a city or a country on a map, and let's drop them in. I'll give you about 4 minutes, 4 to 6 minutes. This is incredible. I'm seeing them pop up all over the place. 7 in China, 5 in a different region of China. I see some in Egypt, it looks like. We have 3 from Puerto Rico. I see 1 from Chile, Ecuador, Guatemala. Oh, look, here are some California. That's interesting. Maybe you yourself, if you're sharing a resource that you made, maybe you want to drop it in the city where you are from. And later in the session notes, forever, you'll be able to access this treasury of resources that we're compiling as we speak.
Caleb, can I ask you actually one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
So there are some with places with numbers and some other ones without numbers.
Yeah, have you tried clicking on the numbers? It might expand to give you, it probably means that more than one resources were shared for the same location. And by the way, if you click on one of those points on the map, you'll be able to leave a comment. You could ask a question. You're able to leave comments and reply to each other there. We'll give about 2 or 3 more minutes. Let's take about 30 more seconds. Look at this. Look at what you're doing. Oh my goodness. That is so beautiful. I feel like right where you are, right with your students, in your particular context, you're giving your students keys to unlock diversity's treasure. All right, now if you like to multitask, feel free to continue with that as I continue our presentation. And as a reminder, if you feel like, wow, Caleb, how can I access that later? Here's the QR code again. If you scan it with your phone, you'll be able to access a lot of resources from today's session, including that Padlet that we're making together. You guys are doing an amazing job. Now, when we use these authentic resources in our target language with our students, we are immersing them not only in the target culture, but we are immersing them in the target language, because these are resources that are made by native speakers and made for native speakers. And all of it is beautiful, but we do have to watch out. We have to watch out for something we already mentioned. We need to help our students stay engaged by always minimizing unnecessary complexity. And depending on the proficiency level of your students, a native speaker speaking in their native language can sound confusing and complex to a language learner. So we always have to remember to minimize unnecessary complexity when staying in the target language. This is very important. I have a lot of tips about this on my blog. It's called Tuesday's Tips for Staying in the Target Language. And I'm going to go ahead and click on it so that you can see what the content is like. When you get to the home page, there's top 10 lists. Top 10 list for most shared posts. These resources have been shared over 1 million times. Top 15 most helpful posts for teachers who want to start teaching in the target language. Top 10 posts to read if your students resist instruction in the target language, like if they're freaking out, like, I don't understand what you're saying. Top 15 most practical posts. It's a step-by-step guide for teaching different verb conjugations, things like that. Top 8 thoughtful posts, top 10 nerdiest posts, and I'm going to take you to one of the nerdy ones to talk about the importance of eliminating unnecessary complexity. This one is called, Why Do I Use Fewer Words, especially with the novice learners? Because input has quantitative qualities. And I'm going to just read you like just 2 or 3 of these sections, and you can access more later. Use fewer words. Train yourself in your class to feel comfortable with silence. Generally, if something I'm about to say in the target language is not going to be paired with another meaningful form of input, it's not worth saying. Try to reduce the amount of words for a direction you give. These are all rules of thumb that I follow in my foreign language classroom. I'm passionate about them. I feel that they are extremely important. I believe that they're a huge part of why my little students in elementary school are acquiring L2 and thriving in an L2 immersion environment. Instead of saying a long, complex phrase like, boys and girls, please sit around the edge of the rug, I say shorter, simpler phrases like, Aiden, sit here. Jessica, sit here. Rebecca, sit here. Ranim, sit here, etc. Or instead of saying a longer phrase like, Roger, pass out a sheet of paper to every student in the class, please, I'll say shorter, simpler phrases like, a paper for you, a paper for you, here's a paper for you, and for you, etc. Or instead of saying a longer phrase like, today we are going to write down the numbers from 1 to 100 in the target language, I say shorter, simpler phrases like, with a pencil, and I hold up a pencil, right here, and right here, and here, and I point to each of the lines that they'll need to write on. Or instead of saying a longer phrase like, it's time to put away your notebooks to the little kindergartners, I say shorter, simpler phrases like, goodbye notebooks. And if you've followed this blog for a while, you've probably already heard the story of how I use fewer words with my infant or toddler daughters. One day, my daughter was crawling around on the floor while we were with our extended family in the living room. She was at the age where she was just starting to be mobile and loved her independence and ability to explore new things. During this same stage, her mom and I had to keep our eyes glued on her because she didn't know which of her exploration items were dangerous or not, like electrical sockets. We loved letting her explore, but it was exhausting to constantly spend energy keeping her from exploring electrical sockets, staircases, and fragile decorations. On this night, I didn't want to supervise my exploring daughter. I wanted to stay in the living room talking with other adults. So I decided to try to tell my infant crawler to stay in the living room and not crawl into the kitchen. I realized that she would have never understood my language if I said something like, Ava, there are some dangerous things in the kitchen. Furthermore, your father and mother are not in there to supervise you. Therefore, our desire is for you to stay in the living room with us. I don't know about you, but if my language supervisor walks into the room, sometimes I feel the pressure of using like long, complex sentences. But in the case with my daughter, she would not understand those long, complex sentences, but she would understand my language if I said something like this. And this is what I did. I took my daughter to the threshold between the kitchen and the living room. I knelt down at her level. I pointed to the kitchen side of the threshold, and with serious looking eyes, I said, no, no, no. I pointed to the living room side of the threshold, and with smiling looking eyes, I said, yes, yes, yes. I took the extra time to repeat these statements 3 or 4 times. She was able to understand because I used fewer words and I made their meaning obvious. If I would have used 4 sentences with complex native speaker level words, my daughter wouldn't have even listened. She wouldn't have even looked at me. That's sometimes what our students do too. They tune out because they don't understand. And we can help by eliminating the extra unnecessary. I'm going to scroll down to the last part right here. It says, foreign language teachers will be doing their students a disservice if they think teaching in the target language means that they must string together long, complex L2 sentences, especially with our novice learners. When teachers use too much L2, it's like they're asking their students to look for a lost ring in the middle of a haystack. Teachers should make an L2 student's search for meaning easier by eliminating needless, non-essential, incomprehensible L2 words. I'm so excited that you guys have Dr. Krashen speaking with you in August. His idea of I plus 1, wonderful. And thank you for all that you're doing to help your students understand. Now you can keep reading that blog or others, but the idea is minimizing unnecessary complexity when we're taking our students to that map that I showed you, all of those online resources that we're compiling. How do we give those to our students in ways that don't overwhelm them? Well, that's what the next part of our presentation is about. So one way that I minimize the complexity of those beautiful videos, like that one of Gibi, that girl from Mexico that I showed you, is I like to leverage technology. And so I like to do this with Edpuzzle, and I'm gonna show you a little bit more. Remember that video that I showed you of Gibi? After like 30 seconds, it automatically paused, and it had a custom question that I had made. I'm gonna show you how to do that. This is gonna take like 5 minutes. It's of a tutorial that I already recorded, and then we're going to talk about some other things for minimizing complexity when we're immersing our students in the target language. All right, to make an Edpuzzle video, it's pretty fun. Let's see here. So what you want to do is you want to go to maybe Edpuzzle Home, and you want to check out where you can grab videos from. So you can grab them from YouTube. It's familiar to everyone, so I'm going to use that example. And you can type in the name of a video or a topic or whatever here, but sometimes what I like to do is just pick a video that I already know. So I'm going to go here to another tab, and this is a neat video from Spain, like a daycare center where some babies are coming in and they're talking Spanish. So all I have to do really is grab the URL, so I'll copy it from up here and bring it back over to Edpuzzle and paste it right into this YouTube search bar. And it loads the video right away. And then you have a few options. You can cut the video, which basically means if it's too long, you can just pick which section of it. You don't have to do the whole thing. If you just need 3 minutes, you take 3 minutes. There's a voiceover option where you can eliminate the sound of the video and your own voice can be there. That's really nice if there's just maybe let's say like a tourism montage, or like if you want to show about Germany or something like that, but the narrator is talking too much, you can have your voice and just highlight the things and the skills that you want them to focus on. So that's really neat. My favorite part is here, the questions, because you can enter some open-ended questions or multiple choice questions, and that really helps with the interpretive mode. So let's say I want to watch this full video. I don't need to cut it. I don't want voiceovers, but I'm just going to go right to questions. And so let's see how to insert a question. First, pick the spot of the video where you want the question. So push play. And I'm just going to kind of fast forward to something here. So let's say I get to this part and I want to pick a multiple choice question. So you just type in your question, and that question will be inserted back into the video exactly at the place where you paused it. So 25 seconds, your students will be watching without them having to click anything. At 25 seconds, it stops, and the question pops up that you enter in. So since we all teach, different languages, I'm going to go ahead and put it in English, but you put it in your target language, and you can put it as simple. If they're just basically doing some words or colors, you can do it as simple as that. If they're working with short phrases or sentences, you can do that. I'm just going to type in, what do you see? And then you can just maybe put some obviously wrong answers. Elephants. Obviously, there's not elephants walking into the room. Choice number 2, maybe you do want to put the right answer for choice number 2, so you can just put babies. And you can add another answer choice and put, I don't know, presidents. You might want to pick words that almost look the same or sound the same in your target language as they are in English. And then what you want to do is, once you've put in your answers, make sure that you indicate for Edpuzzle which is the correct answer. So obviously presidents is not correct. Babies is correct, I switch it to green. And elephants is incorrect, so I switch it to red. And I can save that question. So now we move on. And you can put in a second, third, fourth, fifth question. The neat thing is that at the end, all of this will be saved for you. You can see which of your students answered the questions, which of them didn't, which ones they got right, which ones they got wrong. You can use it for feedback and assessment, and all just no work. It's all in a report for you, and it integrates really nicely with Google Classroom. You can go ahead and finish the video whenever you're ready, and you can share it as a link. You can share it directly into Google Classroom. You can do this as a whole class activity and have a student come up and answer it. They can do it asynchronously from their home, and you get all the reports, and it's really exciting.
All right, so that's a little bit of how you can take these beautiful videos that we all collaborated on Padlet to compile them in different languages, but how do you make it so that it's helpful for your novice learner or your intermediate learner? Well, Edpuzzle is one way that you can eliminate the extra and help them focus in on the vocabulary that you want them to learn. You insert it in your custom questions. It's beautiful. And let's see, Edpuzzle, I like it, yeah, because you can have your own custom questions. You can make them as simple or complex as you want. There's the multiple choice options. There's open-ended, and it's an easy way to assess the students, especially in the interpretive mode. And you can do your voiceover. I've done my own voice so that the students, they hear their teacher's voice on there. You know, it might be like of a YouTube superstar, but you can take their voice out and put your own voice in the target language. Really cute way to connect with your students. So I'm gonna pause here and check to see if there's any questions. And if not, we'll finish up with a couple things.
There's a lot of conversation going on in the chat as people are trying to figure out kind of what Edpuzzle works with. You know, does it work with Canvas? Does it work with Moodle? What does Edpuzzle in the free version versus the paid version? What are some of the different functionalities? So just some questions about what does Edpuzzle also work with, and what are the free versus the paid levels of Edpuzzle? What does that allow you to do?
I'm so excited that you guys are on the chat just talking about those things, and I'm sure I'm not monitoring it myself because I'm worrying about like what I'm saying next. But thank you for those that are chiming in to answer those questions. One of the things that I like most about platforms like this is that we can help each other, and I think what you did on that map was amazing. And so thanks for those that are jumping and answer those questions. Teresa, did you want me to address any of that specifically? I won't have all the answers to it, but is everyone doing a good job answering?
I think the main question was the example that you showed where you were making the video. They were asking if that's something that you can do with the free version of Edpuzzle, yeah, or if you have a paid license. Okay.
Yeah, that's free, completely fun, and do it with any video that you found. So if you go to that Padlet map where you and your colleagues were clicking on the location and adding your own links, grab the link right from there. Go to Edpuzzle, drop it in there for free, and create your custom questions. And it takes the beautiful, but sometimes overwhelming because it's like native speakers, and you can scaffold it for the level of your learners.
We have 3 questions.
So we have some folks asking about the collection of authentic resources by language that you shared before, and that's going to be in the QR code you shared at the beginning and we'll share at the end, correct?
Correct.
Caleb? Okay. Let's see. And so Gary and MJ have a question about, so in Edpuzzle in the free version, are there any limits in the number of videos you can create?
No, unless they did something this summer of changing it, you make as many as you want. I think I could be wrong, but I think the paid version allows you to integrate with grade books, like with Fancy, things like that. But in terms of creating videos, sharing them, adding them to your Google Classroom, or sharing the link to a different platform that you use with your students, all free. Getting the reports, like when they fill out their multiple choice questions and they answer everything, you get all of that instantly so that you don't even have to go back through every question. You see the grade that's right there for your student. You can add it into your grade book. But I think just like the seamless integration piece, I think that's where you might pay some things, but you get all the, you know, the reports on how they did. All of that is free.
Okay, yeah. It looks like then there's just some folks chatting about, you know, their own tech departments and some of the conversations that they've had.
That's great. Thank you, guys. We only have about 10 more minutes, so I'm just gonna finish up with 2 quick things. Edpuzzle focuses on the interpretive mode a lot. So if you want to branch out into interpersonal mode, what I would do is I would, if you end up in the fall still having to do distance learning and you're doing everything remotely, you can invite small groups of your students to an online meeting, maybe with Google Meet or Zoom, and you can have them pre-watch the video and then just have it be like the conversation starter. Have some questions that your students are interacting with other students about, just sort of like a conversation starter. And sometimes it's been hard during the pandemic. There's just a lot of students that just won't push mute when they're not supposed to be talking, or there's loud noises in the background, and we're trying to get online to meet with these students, but it's just such a headache. So the teachers in my building were struggling with that, and I wrote, and it's here and in the notes as well, your guide for facilitating glitch-free online meetings. And so there's just step-by-step with scripts and what to do, and you'll be able to access that as well. Hosting a glitch-free online meeting for the interpersonal mode. Presentational mode, I would, with those same playlists that we were sharing on that map, that you can access the different YouTube playlists, what would you do for presentational mode? Well, presentational mode, you could send the students the link to the authentic resource. They watch it, and maybe you have a writing prompt and they write something for you in the presentational mode. Or you say, go ahead and take a 1-minute video of yourself responding to the question prompt that's associated with one of those online authentic videos. Very timely, because, you know, diversity, it's a hot topic in our nation and around the world. And so what we're doing is we're giving our students an ability to instantly see that diversity can be actually fascinating. It can be beautiful. It can add richness to our lives. We're giving our students keys to unlock diversity's treasure. And I think what I'd like to do is going back to turning up the volume on love, turning up the volume on beauty, on the cultural richness. I'd like to show you a video that I made that helps me remember the value of my students. I think that we'll probably lose most of our students if, after all of our lesson planning, after all of the designing our curriculum and designing our courses, if we kind of come at them with all of that, we'll lose them. But if we do our hard work of designing everything, of working on how to be a good language teacher, and then kind of like put it a little bit on the back burner and remember the beauty of the student, we will engage with them a lot more effectively. Let's finish with this song that I wrote for teachers and their kids. The way you are, just the way you smile, all of your ideas, all the things you like, you are a gift, you are a gift to the world. And I like being a teacher, and I like coming to school, but it's not 'cause I like grading papers, and it's not 'cause I think classrooms are so cool. My favorite thing about this school, my favorite thing about our school, my favorite thing is you. My favorite thing about this school is you.
that we have in school is you, and you, and you. You, you, and you. My favorite thing about our school is you, and you, and you, and you, and you. Just the way you are, just the way you smile. You are a gift, you are a gift to the world. I don't know if you realize, but a lot of the people around you don't believe this song is true. They believe that specialness is something that you can get more of, and the specialness inside of you is something that you can lose. Oh, they said they aren't my best friend anymore. Oh no, that must mean that I'm not as special. More people want to be around her. I wish people liked me the way that they liked her. She must have more specialness than I do. We think it all the time, but it's not true. And I want to prove it to you. Look at this $20 bill. Pretend like I can talk to it, and it can talk to me. Hey, you think you're special? I have things that you don't have. I can do things that you can't do, so 20? Nah, you're not worth 20. You're only a 10. And when people say things to us, we start believing them. We're like, it's true. I am not worth as much. But if I were talking to this $20 bill, it would sort of look at me, it would sort of smile, sort of laugh a little bit and say, no matter what you say, my worth is written all over me. Look, right here, right here, right here, right here. Look on the back of me, 20, 20, 20, all in yellow, written like 100 times, 1,000 times. No matter what you say, it just can't change what I'm worth. And the same thing is true about you. Your worth is written all over you. No one is like you. No one is just the same as you. You have gifts and ideas that the world needs. No matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone does, even if there are people that mistreat you, even though there are people that don't value the way that you should be valued, you may feel hurt. You may feel mistreated, but you have not lost your worth. You may need someone to come alongside of you, care for you, remind you of the worth that's written all over you, but you can never lose your worth. I can't promise you that in this world you won't experience pain. I can't promise you in this world that people will always say the things that are true about you. It's true that this world is not a very safe place for our feelings, but I can promise you that no matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone does, you cannot get any more special than you are right now. You can never lose your specialness. You are a gift to the world. You are a gift to the world.
Oh, thank you guys so much. I'd like to thank again the Indiana Foreign Language Teachers Association, Indiana Language Roadmap, Hamilton Lugar, and all of the session notes are available with links right there. And thank you for contributing to that, that online map on Padlet of sharing resources